Okay everyone, what we're going to do today is we're going to have a look at doing this form of transition where we've got our home page. We're going into each section here with separate bullets, and then we're going back to the home page here as well. Now the cool thing about this is if you've got a home page, you have, let's say you've got three main sections that you're talking about, you can make sure that there's a visual connection here to, okay, these are the three main points I want to go through, and this is what I want to cover, and I want people to remember those three main points. So having those on a home page is very similar to if you're in like a website, for example, and you have like the main tabs that you can then go into at any point, get your information there, and then go back to your home screen as well. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how I did that. And first thing you can see here is that I have my sections here that just, the only difference here between these two is that there's a darkness filter applied to it, and then this is the main home section with the three sections here that you can go into, and then you've got the three different areas here. Now even while I've been doing this, I've used the word section like so many times that, you know, when you think that you think that a word is just a really strange word, you're like, why is it spelt like that? Because you're using the same word so many times. So the first thing we want to do, I'm going to delete all these first, just so that we have a starting point from what you can see that I did. So I'll just delete all these. So we've got our main home section that is here. So first, obviously, we're going to add a new slide. We're going to insert a picture here from the file. This picture I got from Unsplash. Let's see who the credit was. Here we go. So this was from S Migaj. Always use unsplash.com for pictures. You can download in super high resolution. Amazing resource if you want pictures for your presentation that you've not taken yourself. So we're here on the main page. We're just going to make that larger. So we've got this. And then I'm going to duplicate this slide, and then on this slide I'm going to go right click and format picture, and I'm then just going to apply a negative 40% brightness so that this is basically darker, and then we've got a morph transition. So basically when we're moving from slide 1 to slide 2, it just gives us that nice fade. You can see that once more. That allows us to kind of highlight, okay, if we've got words on the screen that are white font, they'll come up much clearer against a dark background. Okay, so then we want to go in here, and basically slide number 2 is going to be our main page that we're going to use to then zoom into different parts. So I'm going to click here on home, and I'm click section, add section, and I'm just going to call this home section, for example. And then I'm also going to create another section here, which I'm going to call section 1. Okay, and then the basic idea is from here on home, we're going to use 3 links to go to part 1, part 2, part 3, but we just want to make the parts first. So the interesting thing from the feature that I showed right at the beginning of this video is that when we have white font and we're zooming in, the background stays the same. So I'm going to show you how I did that. First thing is to add in a new slide, and here I'm going to just remove all these. I'm going to make the background of the slide black because I'm using white font. So that just means that the emphasis is more clear of what I'm drawing, what I'm writing. So I'm going to put a text box here. Let's say we call this section 1. I'm just going to make that a bit bigger. And I'm going to make this as big as I can on the page. And there's a reason for that. I don't really like that font though. Let's see if we can do, maybe we do Calibri. I don't really like that font either, actually. So we'll do... Okay, let's do this one. And then, like I said, I'm going to make this as big as I can on the screen. So the biggest that I can make it, with it being all on one line, is 199. And then I'm just going to make that right in the center of the page as well. So it's like here. And then from that, I'm going to duplicate this slide, and I'm going to make these words smaller and move them to the left of the screen and just have them, let's say, about here. So this is basically when we're then going into the bullet points. We're going to go insert text box, and we're going to add in, let's say, bullet 1, bullet 2, bullet 3. Okay, and then we're just going to make that white font, and we're going to make that a bit larger. And then whenever we're aligning here on PowerPoint, it has this nice little feature of the red lines, and you feel it click when you're moving around. So this is our main bit. Let's just make sure that the fonts are the same. There we go. Okay, and then make sure that we're applying the morph transition to every single one. And the morph transition, I love this more than anything in the world, is that basically if you have the same words from one side to the next, it will then move them on the screen. So here you can see section 1 moves into the corner. So we've got our first bit created, and then what we're going to do is we're just going to duplicate this. So we're going to highlight these two, we're going to right click, copy, and then paste. And then you'll see here, it feels like there's nothing, but it's because our background is still white, so we're just going to make that background black. And then we're going to change this to section 2. So you'll see before I'm actually making the home page, I'm making all the content that's going to go in there. And then the final thing, I'm just going to make section 3. So here, let's say here, section 3, and section 3 here. And we still just want to make sure that the morph is applied to every single slide, just so that we're not missing anything there. Okay, so we've got the main bits, but you'll see here that in the sections I've got home section, section 1. I just need to create some sections for these two. Section 2, and then here section 3. And we're almost done now. This is all the kind of boring legwork before we get to the interesting bit. On the home bit now, we're going to use what's called zoom. So this is very similar to what you can do on Prezi. So we're on here, insert, and we click zoom here, and then we click section zoom. And then we've got all the different sections from the left hand side that we can then highlight, and we've got these 3 bits. And when we bring them in, they're basically hyperlinks. So that when you're on this main home page, whenever you click on anything, you can then go there and then come back to the home page. So we're just going to line that up nicely so that everything's there. So we've got this. If you ever are a bit pedantic like I am, if you go on to arrange, and then you can align to top, so you make sure they're all definitely in a line, and then also align distribute horizontally, so we know that everything is perfectly lined up there and in the center. But you see, it kind of looks rubbish because it's got this black background because of this background. But the reason why we made it black was so that we can see the white font. But when we go on to zoom tools here at the top and we click zoom background, it will then automatically remove the background from these slides and keep the background from the original slide that you're on. So all we need to do is go into each one and click zoom background here. And then that is effectively it. So the only other thing that it has done this automatically, and it usually does, is just making sure that when you're on zoom, there's a tick box here which is return to zoom, which basically means once you've finished your section, it will then take you back to the home page rather than take you on to the next bit. So that's always good if you're using a home page. Make sure that you're then coming back to zoom. And then I'm just going to show you how that looks now. I'm on this main page. Okay, I'm going to go to the next bit. The background goes dark. We've got the 3 main sections. I then, using my mouse on the screen, can click here. Okay, I want to go to section 1. I then go to the next bit, moves that into the corner, and I've got the 3 bullets that I want to talk about. I click again, it returns me to zoom. I can then go to section 2, do the same thing, and then finally section 3, and there we go. Everything there is pretty smooth. So that's a really basic homepage setup. I hope you like it, and thank you for listening. Cheers.